And we are back. It's the Casual Marks. We're running through NXT from January 16th. Got a good bit of stuff to talk about. It was a pretty eventful night as we get closer.
It was a jam-packed show.
You could say that. We're getting close
They had
to
to make
NXT
up for Raw last night.
Well, I don't think Raw was bad. It just
Well, according to Twitter, also known as X.com, it was a little rough because of, I guess, the snow hindered some of the trucks and maybe even some of the talent, according to the rumors that I saw.
Speaking of hindered, gender loss. So I think that really put people in a bad mood yesterday.
Again. It really put me in a bad mood.
Well, let's focus on NXT. I really enjoyed the show. Any initial thoughts?
We're not going to introduce ourselves?
They know. They all know that I'm the Mark, and they all know that you're the Casual. We're here for reviews, not getting ourselves over.
I always try to get myself over. That's fine.
You're trying to get yourself over on commentary? Who are you, Roddy Piper? Let's go ahead and run through it. Do you have any initial thoughts about the show? Anything that stood out to you most? Or
NXT is the best wrestling show on television.
Yeah, I've been saying that for about a year now.
And if this was any kind of, I don't know, New Japan or anything like that, like there would be 5 people you could argue that are in the top 10 wrestlers in the world.
I think that's very fair. We'll get into some of the specifics about that as we go.
What about you? Do you have any specifics? Or?
Well, as you know, I am a huge NXT fan. I will always sing their praise. This week especially felt like a very in-ring focused week, and I enjoyed it because I think that gives a lot of credit to what you were saying about there's so much. Less than 2 minutes in, we're already getting interrupted. I don't know where we were. Let's just go ahead and
get... I think that was Braun Breaker's intro music.
Here he comes. Let's just go ahead and get right on into the show. I know that you took some notes on it. Let's run through your notes on the very first match.
Did you want to finish what you were saying, though, about your...
I don't know what I was saying.
Any note or specifics about what was happening?
It was a good show.
It was. All right, we'll jump right into my notes, though. It was kind of in chronological order. I was running around. I was writing a little bit of bad handwriting, so bear with me. But first match, that I took notes on is Trick and Mello versus... I don't know. Blade and his friend. What is it? Enofe?
Yes.
Enofe?
Enofe. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced.
And I'll be honest, this match was freaking sick.
Yeah, this is your first real exposure to Blade and Enofe, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Well, obviously the match was really good. This was part of the first round of the tag team classic, the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, I should clarify. I thought overall all 4 really showed out and impressed. This match...
It almost felt like a showcase match where it was just like going out there and put on a banger, and that's what they did. They started out hot and they continued. It was just a great match. I did not, like you said, this is my first real experience with Blade and Enofe, and they thoroughly impressed. Had a fun time watching this match.
A little bit of a spoiler for when we talk in a little bit about the other match in the Tag Team Classic. But I think every match in the first round has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. This is a very fun little tournament that they're doing. Enjoying it. And like I said earlier, I'm enjoying basically everything NXT's putting on.
For sure. Did you have any specific notes about this match?
Yeah, do you want me to just run through them all?
Yeah, for this match, let's go ahead and run through each one of them.
All right, I have the intro song for Trick and Mello was awesome. Even though Booker T was trying to vibe, I thought it was cool, the little mash and mix up.
I think it's interesting that, as far as I can recall, this is the first time we've ever had that. Before this, they just came out to Mello's music.
And
I think it's a testament that Trick is getting over to a point that even the music is becoming more 50-50.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's going to, in character, really bother Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, and then Booker T just trying to vibe, and then he got cut off because Mello's music hit, and it was hilarious. Booker T, worth every penny on commentary. I have that, I think it was Enofe with the Dusty Rhodes pants on?
Yes.
That with the polka dot pants on, that was awesome. I love that.
It's a
Uh,
good shout. A lot of gold and black in this match,
NXT
which
black
also
and gold.
is what Dusty wore, the black with yellow polka dots.
You know who else wore that? Oh, I thought you were talking about black and gold. Gold dust.
And Stardust for a little bit.
No, did he?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It was right after Dusty passed away. He added the polka dots as a tribute,
oh,
which I think is a good shout.
I do too. Let's see, what else do I have? I just have that this match was a lot better than I thought. I thought it was going to be a squash match, just because I'd never really heard of a no fader blade, but they really did some good stuff. A lot of flippy spots. I have that Trick saved one of their lives. I don't know which one it was with
Oh
his.
yeah, yeah, that was Malik Blade. He did a little topic on Hilo and definitely went short.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
Now, I
And
don't think that's necessarily like. Now, I know it is a botch by all technical means, but I don't think that was necessarily like anyone's fault. I think it was just a bad
it was
situation.
just a misjudgment of, I guess, maybe both parts. It was just, I mean, they played it off perfectly. They saved it. Nobody got
Yeah,
hurt.
Trick was able to get down and give him a little crash pad landing,
I felt bad for Trick because he was 1,000%. He didn't catch him or anything. He was just a body to lay on besides not hitting the floor.
which that's a big shout to Trick. I
Yeah,
mean, I
honestly,
think
yeah.
there are a number of people that would not be willing to do that.
Jimmy Snuka's son, we're talking
There
to
you go.
you.
And I think it's a big credit to his testament that in that moment he couldn't think about it, you know?
Yeah, that was just his first reaction is
His
to,
first instinct is, "Oh, I need to catch him."
and he just literally put his body down to as a way to cover it. I thought that was really cool, and it like at the just first sight, it was like, whoa, what just happened? And then going back and watching it on Twitter and seeing the clips, it was really, really impressive. I was just a cool little spot in the match, I thought. Let's see what else. A lot of flippy spots I have, which normally, sometimes I like, sometimes I don't. Yes, it depends on who you are. And yes, I am hypocritical. And then I have about the promos. I don't know if you want to talk about that now or talk about that later.
Let's go ahead and do it while we're on the topic of Trick and Mello.
Okay. I have that Trick and Mello are wanting to go to Revolution, obviously, since they're in the Dusty Rhodes Classic.
Vengeance Day.
Oh, Vengeance Day, excuse me.
Revolution is the AEW pay-per-view.
Just got AEW on the mind.
Got AEW.
But
You've been AE-dubbed.
gotta go see Sting's last match. That's what I really want to see is Trick and Miller versus Sting and Darby Allin. That's
I
what
want to see Trick Williams versus Sting buried alive. And I think obviously,
Darby Allin jumping off the rafters.
yeah, into the grave.
But then I have that Ilya offered Trick a match at Vengeance Day.
Yeah, it's the match that Trick is owed for the what was that, for the Iron Survivor, I think is the reason that we're getting it. And clearly it's something that we've been wanting for a while now. And I think it'll be really good on Vengeance Day itself.
Me,
Later in the night, we actually had a return to a promo between Trick and Mello, where Trick confirmed that he would have both matches if they made it to the finals of the Dusty Rhodes Tag
yeah,
Team
and you could
Classic.
obviously see that Mello was not happy whenever he was so excited about his match with Ilya, since he's, I guess, kind of overlooking the Dusty Rhodes Classic and the potential finals at Vengeance Day.
I think in that sense, I think he is overlooking his friendship with Mello.
Yeah,
This was something for them to do together and prove to everyone that Trick Mello Gang is still united, still strong, and still on top. And Trick is more focused on his match with Ilya, which, if you're a Trick fan, you completely understand that. This is a match that he earned, he is owed, it's for the main title, and it's his chance to prove himself after being beaten by Ilya before.
well, yes, but you also he's at prior commitments, and he did come back and apologize later to Mello, which is, I think that's where he did say that he would pull double duty and do both matches if they were to get there. But I'm going to be interested to see if they actually do get there, or I don't know. That's going to be very interesting to see how things go.
I agree. I think it's one of those matches and situations that has the potential to go in a lot of different directions, and that makes it more exciting to watch as a fan.
What do you get for winning the Dusty Rhodes Classic?
I believe a tag team title match.
Okay. I didn't know if you got the titles or if it was just a match or what that was.
No, no, no. You wouldn't get the titles
Okay.
because the champions aren't in it,
Gotcha.
obviously.
Well, I don't know. I can see this going a couple of different ways. I'm just going to throw a little fantasy booking out there, little spitball on the wall.
Yeah,
I could
let's see if it
either,
works.
yeah, I could either see Trick and Mello having the final tag team match,
Mm-hmm.
like before, and then winning, but doing it at all costs. And Trick's hurt, he's gassed, and then loses to Ilya because of that. And then he blames Mello because he didn't let him focus on the singles. I could see him fighting Ilya first, winning, and then doing the tag team, and then not being focused or taking it, having not enough left in the tank from this first match, and then Mello being mad because he wasn't focused on that. Or what I think would be cool is if they they lose the Dusty Rhodes Classic, and then Mello turns on him and beats him up before he has to fight Ilya.
I think if it were me with the pin and they completely let me decide what's going to happen and everything like
They
that,
are Triple H. I know you're listening right now.
I would have the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic open the show.
Yeah.
And I would have Carmelo take the pin
Ooh.
either from Braun or Baron Corbin because I think
Oh
that they
yeah.
are a very fun tag team, and I think that they are most
Yeah.
likely going to defeat Axiom and Nathan
The
Frazier next
Wolf
week.
Dogs.
And I think after that match, I think that's where Mello is beating himself up and he needs support, and Trick is too focused to the fact that he has
Mm.
another match. And I think Trick's about to win it, and Mello snaps and cost him the match.
Ooh.
Which, being at Vengeance Day, sets us up for a little over a 2-month-ish feud that you could have before Stand and Deliver. Hopefully they get to come back and host it
Yeah.
this year because I'm a big fan of Pretty
I don't
Deadly.
know. They can't get around the family and the dine. It'll be
This is
interesting.
true. They'd be afraid. And after we saw them with Paul Heyman on SmackDown, they might be too busy being in the bloodline.
That would be awesome.
Fingers crossed. Anything else you want to add about Trick, Mello, Ilya, anything like that?
No, I think that's all the notes that I had. I'm just interested to see where all this is going to go, and uh, just how it's going to build up to Stand and Deliver, and where it's going to go, and how it's going to happen. I would love a curveball of some sort, and just to really be surprised. I don't really know what, but I'm intrigued by this, to say the least.
Definitely. What was next on the old note list that you got? I know you
Uh,
said you were kind of up and
yeah,
around.
it was kind of in chronological order. Like I said, my mind was going. I was doing stuff while I was watching. But next thing I have on the list is the Oba. Is it Femi?
Yeah, Obafemi.
Fimey.
No, no, no. Femi. Femi.
Okay.
That's why his fans are Oba feminist.
I might have to join in on that after
The
being a.
Oba feminist movement has
Can I
arrived.
be a homosexual and a Oba feminist?
I don't think there's anything saying that an Homo sapien couldn't be a feminist.
I don't think I can join the
The
Lex
Lex offenders,
offenders.
yeah. Lex offenders, we'll talk about the Lex involvement tonight. I'm not saying that I'm a Lex offender, but I really appreciated what he had to do tonight.
All right, but anyways, for Obafemi, I have that he's not doing the open challenge, no open challenge for the North American title. Uh,
Yeah, which is an interesting move.
I like it.
I think I'll let you get to this next part in a second, but I think the North American Championship is a title that really benefits from that kind of like everyone wants it, which really happened thanks to Wes Lee and the way that they were staging the open challenge where people were fighting each other just to get in the ring and challenge him. And I think that it's something where there's so much talent on NXT that having a title like that is relatively short reigns but really good matches and elevates them up or shows that they're not ready to go up to that next level is a very solid option for NXT.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but I'll be honest. I think that the open challenge, especially when they were fighting to get in the ring and everything like that, it kind of walks the line of the 24/7 championship. And it's kind of like, it doesn't really mean anything. I think the North American Championship can really benefit from after Dom's reign and from another, like Obafemi, just kind of solidified champion that is still defending it, but just not having an open challenge every week.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't have to be every week, but at the very least, I do hope during Femi's reign with the title, they let it showcase a lot of people that don't usually get looks. Like I
Yeah,
think a match with Duke Hudson, for example, and Obafemi, just letting them both be kind of big horsemen that hit each other hard. I think that'd be fun.
yeah, it would be, and I guess that's the whole point of the kind of the mid card champion is to give other people looks and see how it goes.
Yeah,
But
I could agree with that.
but also for this, I will have that Obafemi is a lot better promo than what I was anticipating.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
because
pretty
he's so
surprising.
new, so green,
Well, he's
and
22 years old.
yeah, and the crowd seemed really into it. And I tell you what, that little chant that they were doing,
Who?
yeah, that got me hyped. I wanted to be in the crowd. It reminded me of Wolf of Wall Street. Just watched that the other day, doing the oh oh. So that's felt like that, and obviously I'm a finance bro. I'm all over for that.
The Femi, bro. I think it was very interesting. I don't always like the NXT crowd. Sometimes the NXT crowd kind of has their own little in jokes and their own little
They're
like
putting
turns
themselves
and pushes.
over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really, ever since I think you might vaguely remember this, it was the first Halloween Havoc
Oh,
that
when
I ever
those
showed
people
you
turned around when they were
when Braun Breaker retained the title and
yeah.
the fans actively stood up and turned their
I
back
think
on
they
him.
were dressed as the
Mystery
mystery. Yeah.
Incorporated. Yeah, they were.
Yep, I remember that, and I was like, these people are the biggest marks.
Little did we know that y'all in our comments would prove us wrong very quickly about that. But this was a simpler time. This is when the casual marks were in its embryonic stage.
This is when I really was a casual, just on the precipice of the.
Just about to start falling down the bell curve. What I will say though, the NXT crowd, and I think this is purely because NXT quality has increased, the crowd has no choice but to also increase its quality.
Oh yeah, and it's kind of a blessing just how small and how effective that crowd can be, just because a few people can get something going that
That then everyone else wants to be a part
yeah
of. It's nowhere near, say, as ravenous as an ECW crowd or as intimate as a PWG crowd, but NXT is a small and dedicated fan base that is very willing to engage with itself, which means that for fans like us watching at home, it makes it seem fun to be a part of.
yeah
When you see that, it's like, oh wow, I can't wait for seeing Obafemi come to the main roster or Trick Williams so you can hear the chants of the whole crowd at, say, the Royal Rumble doing the Wolf That
yeah,
Trick.
but
Things like that.
it
That's
really
all shout out to the NXT crowd.
and it really makes me want to go be a part of it or to uh one of my first dipping my toes back into professional wrestling was whenever I went to that NXT live show,
That was
and
Vengeance Day, ironically.
I want some more like that, and I think it's just a fun time whenever you can see a crowd having fun, and it's just cool to see how impactful they can be.
I agree. I agree. What I will say about this, I think they were trying to turn Obafemi heel
Yeah,
because
because
he had
Dragon
that
Lee came
one.
out there.
Well, there was that, of course, but even before that, he had that one specific line about how he had the divine right of being able to rule over, quote, all of you, talking to the crowd. But the crowd refuses. The crowd was like, nope, we're, who? And that if you are listening, Shawn Michaels or any of the other people on the NXT writing team, first of all, please answer my application. Like y'all don't say no, you don't say yes, it just expires.
He's got to come to work with a mask on to keep his identity sealed, so that way we can get the inside scoop every week.
But if you have a character like Obafemi that both social media, the fans in attendance, and seemingly the people backstage that wanted to push him hard enough to win the breakout tournament, everyone's in agreement he is really cool and they like him. Don't push the heel turn.
Well, see, this is what I was about to say. I think that we are getting into that type of, or that kind of cyclical thing of wrestling where the bad guy is the cool guy, and that's who people are going to cheer. And I mean, you got Rhea Ripley, for example. I mean, she can come out there and say whatever, and everybody's still going to cheer for her. It's just turning to a point, I think, where it's like how you talk about the Attitude Era, where the people of the PG era are now turning to be 18, 20 years old, however old, and
Like the aging of the fan base and WWE needing to age with them.
yeah, and
I see what you're
that
saying.
they're no
Basically, the
longer
people that grew up with hustle, loyalty, and respect Cena are now the ones that are part of that key 18 to 45 demo.
exactly.
And something like an NXT or Rhea Ripley, or maybe even to a much lesser extent when you see some of the way that LA Knight kind of feels like more of an old school character, things like that are bringing it where those fans are once again engaging.
Right, where you don't have to be hustle, loyalty, respect, yabba smelly pants face for people to cheer you. Even though Cody Rhodes is doing so well, everybody that is a face does not have to be a Cody Rhodes baby face.
I think that's one of the benefits of Triple H really taking over
Yeah,
all
that's
of creative, and I think we're seeing it in NXT as well as Shawn Michaels. There's a lot more shades of gray.
yeah,
Like we
and
do
that's
have
like
some all the way, blue-eyed baby faces and some detestable heels, but we also have those in the middle. I don't even know if you would fully say that someone like Drew McIntyre
yeah,
is
that's
truly a heel
no, not at all.
because he's fighting the Judgment Day,
Yeah,
but he's
and
also
he's getting a
cheating and
huge pop
trying to
whenever he's
beat up Jey Uso, and it's
hmm
like, where are we going with this? And you know what? That's what makes it interesting to watch every week is when you have those different personalities that are fleshed out. We understand their motivation and we understand why they are doing what they do.
right. Instead of just having, "Ooh, I'm a good guy. I can never cheat, no matter against who." It's more so a very well-rounded character rather than just a hard-line character, and I'm really enjoying that. And I was about to say another example, CM Punk. I mean, CM Punk can come out there and, as you say, shit in the middle of the ring, and people are
Mm,
gonna cheer
this is
CM.
awesome. Justified. This is awesome.
Yeah, they're
Well, I
gonna.
guess if it was Tony tweeting, absolutely non-justified. This is awesome chance.
But I mean, you could have, and that's I think a beautiful thing too is you can now have kind of like half the crowd that's cheering for him and half the crowd that's booing for him, and it's like I said, it's just resonates with more people, and you see the different aspects coming out in the crowd and in those characters.
I agree. I agree. And I think Obafemi's going to be one of those characters that benefits from being a shade of gray.
Yeah, it's like Natalia. Each week, you never know if she's gonna be
Ah,
a face or a heel.
maybe I don't like shades of gray anymore. Let's see, what was next up on the old list you got?
Next, we had Tatum Pax. Is it Tatum Paxley?
hmm
And Lyra Valkyria versus Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. When this started, I was not interested at all. Didn't care for Tatum Paxley. Didn't really. I still don't fully care for Lyra Valkyria. And there's
I'll be
only
honest, her
so
match
much.
with Becky got it over for me. I was, and
I
that
mean,
was
they did a really good job of promoting it, and the match itself was fine.
it
But
was
I have
all
seen
because
a
I saw Fit
handful.
Finley, and then I was over.
I've seen a handful of matches with Lyra where it just does not do it for me. and she's on the uphill battle to keep my interest most times that she's
I
out.
feel like that's how I am with Roxanne Perez.
I think that's fair, and we'll get into Roxanne Perez in a little bit more detail when we get to the main event. But something about tonight, I think it was the aspect of Tatum Paxley coming out in Lyra Valkyria's exact same gear.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Because at first I thought this was just going to be a rehash of like the obsessive fan quasi
I was about to
lesbian.
say, yeah,
Wow, it's like Mickey
we're
James.
getting lots of that, and then the Tony Storm and
Exactly. I was like, I look, there's other companies that have already done it better, and another company actively doing it that's going to draw comparisons. But I don't think that's what this is. Tatum Paxley is not like a obsessed fan that's in love with her. I feel like it is closer to she thinks of herself like a little sister
I
and
was about to say,
sees Lyra as like this idol and hero.
yeah,
And that changes it up. It almost reminds me of
it's
The
like our
Incredibles.
Truth and John Cena.
Of course, she grew up watching him every Saturday
Yeah,
morning.
The Incredibles.
Yeah, that scene
Oh,
with
Syndrome.
yeah. I think if you do a slow story, you have Tatum trying to prove herself. Even on commentary, Vic Joseph was saying things like, "Wow, maybe Lyra Valkyria really can trust Tatum
Yeah,
Paxley." I think it's going to prove itself to be an endearing aspect of it, and eventually Lyra Valkyria will reject her, and it'll cause her to snap.
go home, buddy.
Exactly. And then she will turn into Syndrome Paxley, of course.
When
Still got to keep that
everyone's
last name.
super, no one is.
When everyone is Lyra Valkyria, no one is. The match itself may be the weakest of the night.
Yeah, it
Not
was.
necessarily saying that it was a bad match. It was just a very stacked show, and this was the kind of lowest one on the totem pole, in my opinion.
It still kept my interest though, because I will be honest that I mean, I at first I wasn't really all that down with it, but then like you said, they came out dressed alike, and then I remembered that I don't remember which one it was, either Electra Lopez or Lola Vice commented on one of our TikToks, I think, or maybe it might have been one
No,
of
no, it was like
those.
a sister or something like that. It
Uh,
wasn't either one of them directly.
well, still, I would just equate that to liking
To
them,
them.
and it might be one of those where I have a couple of people that have requested to follow me. I got like Jade Cargill, I got Becky
Yeah, of course,
Lynch,
of course.
so that they have like 10 followers. So it's really nice that they're trying to follow me.
Yeah,
But
very kind of them.
but no, regardless, that makes me like them. But I really like the finish. The finish was my favorite part of this match.
I think the finish was extremely intriguing. Basically, Tatum Paxley pushes Lyra Valkyria out of the way of, I don't know if Lola Vice has a name for it, but the Black Mass, the
Yeah,
spinning back heel kick. And she ate it, man. She absolutely took it, she being Tatum Paxley, and sold it really well. Just collapsed. But when she collapsed, she went on top of the legal opponent, Electra Lopez, who had already been taken out by Lyra. So then immediately the ref goes into the pin. Lyra's able to toss Lola out, and an unconscious Tatum Paxley gets the win. This is where Vic Joseph made the comment, maybe Lyra Valkyria really can trust her, and immediately Booker went, huh?
I
And
also
he's
didn't really
right,
get Big
because
Joseph's
Vic
comment.
Joseph, how is she supposed to trust her? She was just knocked unconscious and so happened to land there. But I do appreciate Vic
But
Joseph trying.
that's like a sixth sense, I guess. Is her unconsciousness still knows to go for the pin? It's like fighting spirit.
Yeah, kind of. Or just dumb luck.
But speaking of Big Joseph, just on my mind, I saw the report about KP and everything like that, and I wish KP all the best. But Big Joseph is so much better than KP on commentary.
This is going to sound very weird when I say this. I like Vic Joseph so much that I do not want him to go to the main roster to do commentary.
Same with Booker T. I think they are
I think that's
absolutely
a very
perfect.
strong duo together, and I think that they do a very effective job on NXT with some of those more experimental realms and explaining what's going on.
Yeah, and as I said, I mean, it goes
Booker
into
T
the.
does have some weird takes.
But I love it though. But all goes in. It's just like you said, just the kind of experimental stuff, and it all works itself together to really be the best show in wrestling right now.
That match itself, focusing back onto the tag team match, I think it played a very key role into what we're going to eventually get into in the main event. But it seems like the partnership between Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice is no longer benefiting either one of them.
Yeah.
There was a time that they were pretty unstoppable together, and we're seeing them take relatively very clean pinfall losses. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with losing to the NXT Women's Champion, but I think in character, both of those should be getting frustrated with each other.
And you might see that boil over at
Hey,
some
oh,
point. Wink,
foreshadowing.
wink. All right, the next part we have, and this is my favorite part of the entire show and why NXT is the best. We've got a Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker backstage promo.
Look, we're not going to go beat by beat into what they said, but let me
I'll go
first
beat by
say,
beat
hold
into
on,
what
before
they
you go
said.
beat by beat, let me first say, this promo is already on YouTube. I saw that they uploaded it earlier. Go and check it out before you listen to the rest of what we have to say, because it is so good
I
that I would
remember it word
recommend
for word
even
already.
watching it
Let me just
again.
go ahead and.
Yeah, here it is, reenacted by the Casual and the Mark.
But Baron, he was saying he's the leader, and then Braun came out with that sick ass jacket and saying
I
that.
saw someone say that that was his dad's jacket.
Oh, really? That's
I don't know if
cool.
that's true or not, but if so, very cool.
But and then Braun was saying that Baron told him that the interview was at 9:30, even though it was at 9 o'clock, and Baron was trying to taking all the spotlight. But then they came out. Braun came out with said he was thinking about it in the shower, thinking about Baron in the shower, and, and the team, and came up with the perfect nickname. And I think this is a great nickname called the Wolf Dogs.
I do not agree.
You don't
It
think that
is,
that's
I will say, it is far from the worst that I saw in our TikTok comments. Someone recommended Burn the Badasses, and I think that might be worse. But what I will say is the Wolf Dogs, even Baron Corbin was quick to be like, that's bad. He was very shocked at what he said, and he vetoed that as the team leader.
He also vetoed thinking about each other in the shower, which I mean, if are you really tag team partners if you're not thinking about each other in the shower?
We've seen FTR, who many people say is the greatest tag team on the planet, shave each other's backs in the showers
I
on
think
Monday
I
Night
think
Raw.
they're forgetting about the Hardy Boys being the greatest tag team of all time.
I said in the world, not of all time.
Okay, in the world still.
The Hardy Boys right now might need to be focused more on other things than trying to be the best tag team.
Reby
For
Hardy, if you
example,
want to come on
being
the
a
show.
trios.
Oh yeah, with Mark Briscoe.
Exactly. They've got other issues to worry about. They're not focused on this silly nonsense with being a good tag team.
But other than that, I had that Baron Corbin's hat was awesome. That duck hat, I love it. Love you, Baron. Come on the show.
I mean this as sincerely as I can say it. This tag team is a lot of fun. They're very good in ring together. They have good chemistry together. And I think that it's not only going to get over with the NXT crowd, but I think it will get them a spot on the main roster together as a team.
I would love that. That would be awesome. That would literally be my favorite tag team. I can't wait to buy a Wolf Dog shirt.
They need to come up with something. What was the second name that Corbin, or not Corbin, Braun Breaker recommended?
Oh, I can't remember now.
Hmm. Y'all have to go and check out that full promo over on YouTube so you can hear it, and leave it in the comments and tell us what it was.
And comment what your suggestion would be for Baron Corbin and
Unless
Braun
it's
Breaker.
unless it's Burn the Badasses, then you don't, because we'll block you. What was next on our itinerary of NXT?
We just had Ariana Grace. I was about to say Santina Grace.
Yeah, Santina
Yeah,
Morella. I'd be
but
like, no, no.
but yeah, Ariana Grace doing a little promo. I don't really think that's much to say besides that she's Santina Morella's daughter,
She is
which is
extremely good, which we'll get into during what she did in the
I
match.
don't know how good she is like in ring wise because I haven't really seen her wrestle that much.
Well, that's the thing. You know, we'll save it. We'll save it.
Okay.
Spoilers for later, though. I'm a big fan.
Then we had NXT Anonymous zooming in on something going on weird with JC
Yeah,
Jane and Thea Hale and Chase U, and they were making fun of Mr. Chase and
and they've clearly been working on something. We saw how they were all looking on JC's phone. She was saying how good they came out together. I think that it's very possible that we're gonna see a JC Jane U
yeah, that was
overtake Chase U.
yeah.
But what I will say is at the end of the promo, JC seemed to ask out one of the other girls on a date.
Yeah, Jasmine hanging back.
Mm-hmm. And trust me, I ain't got no problem with JC Jane trying to get lucky. But it's Chase U is already in a lot of controversy, you know.
Gambling.
Already got some bad looks going on from the press. Maybe trying to sleep with one of the students isn't the best move. That's all I'm saying, JC. But at the same time, as I said,
She
whatever you
was
got to
just
do.
staying back for extra credit.
Oh, God. They were going to a bar together. What kind of extra credit takes place in a bar?
My kind of extra credit. Invite
Oh,
me.
God.
I'll do some extra credit for.
At Thea Hale, hit me up.
But yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. Um,
I'm very invested in the Chase U storyline.
yeah,
I
I am
think
as well.
it's got really good weekly progression. I think that they're doing an effective job of making it. I'm not saying it seems real because obviously Chase U isn't real, but the way that they're interacting
Hey,
and the
some of the
way they're
people that we
selling it,
know, they're asking us, "Hey, are they really in debt?"
that's true. Grandpa Wrestling has asked us at least twice if it's real, and it is not.
You never know. You don't know that. You never know what kind of financials Andre Chase is working with.
That's true. Maybe he really is an addict, even though Duke is the one that is historically shown to be a poker player, and if I remember right, lost all of his money to Cameron
You
Grimes.
know what they should do?
What?
Is that how Cameron Grimes became a
No, no,
Bitcoin
no. Cameron
billionaire?
Grimes became a millionaire because he invested wisely in crypto.
I thought they used that money he won in gambling to invest that though or something.
No, I think he was already rich when he went
Oh, okay.
against him,
You know what they should do though? They should recruit Akira Tozawa to be in Chase U since
and
he
then
is the
just
master.
immediately win all their money back from Baron
Exactly.
Corbin and JBL.
Exactly.
I actually really enjoyed that segment when it happened. So if you have anything bad to say about it in the comments, prepare to be blocked.
But that led us right into the next thing, which was Chase U versus the LWO.
Look, I'm not saying that this was a better match than the first one, but Joaquin Wilde put on a better performance than any of the four in the first match.
I was thoroughly shocked at how good this match was. I guess just because I haven't had that much experience to the other people. That's not. Um, oh, I'm blanking. The
The
guy that turned on Rey
LWO,
Mysterio. Yeah, who turned on
Santos
Santos
Escobar.
Escobar?
That's
Thank
the
you.
thing.
I kept all I could think of was Andrade.
Not yet.
Yeah,
But that's the thing about the LWO and its current incarnation and how they've been since reforming with Rey Mysterio. It's really only gotten over Rey Mysterio and since the heel turn Santos Escobar.
yeah.
I feel like Carlito, Bad Bunny, Savio Vega, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wilde have not benefited from their association with the LWO
Did
at
you say
all.
Bad Bunny has not benefited?
I mean, yeah, they interfered and helped him win one match.
Yeah. Did you hear that pop when Bad Bunny
No,
came
he was
out?
getting the pop regardless of if he was in the LWO or not. All that he got was that Carlito came out and helped spit an apple on Finn Balor instead, which I will admit I popped for. Very cool.
But I have on this that I was. It's interesting how Zelina Vega went from um, fighting Rhea Ripley for the women's champion back to NXT. But I mean, I guess that is what it is.
Zelina Vega is one of those that really could be a bigger deal if they devoted the time to it.
Yeah, and
I
I
think
thought
you
that's
and
what
I
they
have
were gonna
talked about
do
this before.
after Puerto Rico, but
I think you and I have talked about this before. There's a lot of talent within the women's roster of WWE, and it feels like they need some kind of other prize. Because right now they've got the main Raw title, the main SmackDown title, and then a floating tag team titles.
yeah,
I think that they would benefit from not a 24/7 championship, but maybe something like a television
Yeah,
championship.
like how AEW is doing really well with the TNA Championship.
TBS.
TBS, same thing.
TNA is in fact not the same as AEW.
Tits and ass.
Oh God.
But yes, TBS champion. I was combined TNT, TNA, everything. There's too much
I
wrestling.
combined everything.
Yeah, but I think that would be a good addition as a little mid card, like how you were saying about the North American. That actually have that to showcase some of those other women, give them chance to have some looks at bigger matches and see how it goes.
And I think that there's a more and more chances of women coming in. Well, we've seen people like Julia being rumored to come in, maybe even a Mercedes Monet. There's only so much that all of these super talented women can do if you only have realistically two titles.
Yeah,
Because one of the big things that most fans don't like is these like thrown together tag teams,
well, yeah, and
and
then
we don't
they
want to throw together more just so that we can have something for the women to do. And right now, it doesn't seem like we are rumors spreading of recruiting tag team women.
well, that's what you had to do to get everybody on the show. You just put them in a 20 woman battle
This is
royale.
true. This is true. Weekly battle
Wink,
royales.
wink, wink.
Let's go ahead and hop down. The
Wait.
LWO does
Oh,
get the win in this match. Cruz del Toro hits a Phoenix Splash, and I said this to you off air while we were watching. The Phoenix Splash, even when it's not done well, looks amazing.
yeah, it does, and it
As
was
long
really.
as it's not botched and everyone's okay, it might be the best looking move in pro wrestling.
I'll tell you what I thought was really cool was that dive to the outside that turned into like a DDT.
Yeah,
That was
torpedo
awesome.
DDT.
Yeah.
I've seen that done before, but every time I see it, it impresses me.
I wanted to say that it's weird that Andre Chase was not in this match. He was just the little manager.
Well,
Is that?
on commentary, they said that that was a decision from JC Jane to remove him and replace him
Uh,
with Miles Osborne. Is that his name?
no, it was Riley Osborne.
Where did Miles come from? Who's
Miles
Miles?
Morales, Spider
Miles
Man.
Morales was in
Speaking
this
of
match.
Riley Osborne, this is the one that I thought my note that I wanted to have earlier and I wanted your reaction to it. I have one here. Riley Osborne to fly. You get it?
You've just taken Evan Bourne's gimmick and added Oz to the front of it.
I
Do
mean,
you get it?
he was doing some crazy stuff though. I was not expecting him to show out like that.
No, he's definitely got a bright future if NXT decides they want to push him individually.
Maybe
And I
that's
think
why. Maybe that's why Thea Hell's all horned up over him.
I think there's a good chance
No
that
response.
no, because you're right. That's what she is. I think there's a good chance that we have some kind of like JC Jane U does get formed, and Riley Osborne's like, no, I'm not doing this,
Yeah.
and we get him as like a breakout star fighting for Andre Chase.
Or better idea, bring in another guy. Duke Hudson says that he has a crush on Thea Hale. Therefore,
Oh
they have
yes,
to.
that's what'll save Chase U from financial failure. A full love triangle. Maybe a love square. I don't know what JC's up
That's a
to.
good point.
Who knows if it works out with Jasmine or not. Match was great. We're
Yeah,
gonna
it
see
was really good.
LWO versus Trick and Williams. I mean, Trick and Williams. Trick and Mello.
I was really surprised that LWO won though. I mean, I thought they did a great stuff, but I didn't think they were gonna win just from the start of the
I'm
match.
not
Just
sure that they should have. I think if you want to stretch out that Chase U story, give them that little bit of hope and then take it away. Like,
yeah,
oh,
win the
we are
first
going to
round.
win the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And then maybe you have the student section get a little bit bigger. And then they lose. And the student section's like, ah. Especially after the match, Andre Chase was sitting with Duke and Riley. And he said, what was his direct quote? Now JC is our only hope, or something
Yeah,
like that. If you're going to be that dejected, I'd like to think that you at least had a little bit of a sprout of hope. Maybe they did have that little bit just being in it, but they got the bad luck of the draw going against the LWO apparently.
yeah. I was. I like this. It's a good reintroduction to me at least of the LWO, just because I haven't really seen much of that LWO since Santos has left. So good to see that they are actually capable of putting on banger matches.
Yeah, shout out to Joaquin Wild. Every week on NXT, it feels like he's a highlight.
Yeah,
Hopefully that continues. And I think even on SmackDown, we're going to see it as he starts being more involved with feuds with guys like Angel and Humberto.
yeah, and I know you love you some Joaquin.
I'm a big fan of most luchadors in WWE. Honestly, just most luchadors. I really like the lucha style.
It's growing on me. I used to not like it as much just because of the flipping and uh, flipping all around and hot dogging and showboating, but it's growing on me.
That is, ever since you met El Hijo del Vikingo.
I met him.
Well, saw him on TV.
Uh, well,
But same difference.
and I've realized that I think the main reason I didn't like him is because they're not 6'10" and 400 pounds. And
Oh, the old Vince influence is finally wearing off.
it is because if you put a 6'10" guy out there and just do a striking pose, oh yeah, I'm all for it. But now I'm learning you can put a little 5'10" guy in there, do some flips, and then pose, and then it's like, this is the same thing.
But with less strikes.
Exactly.
Let's go ahead and jump into our next
The
segment
next
here.
segment, which also awesome, is the family. And all I have on here is the Riz takes care of the biz.
Basically, just a little segment hyping up that main event, which was going to be the Battle Royale. But it's nice that
Anything the
Riz Dawn's
Dawn.
getting put in. I didn't know that she was going to be a wrestler.
You think that's her real accent?
Yes.
Wait, do you actually?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I thought Lana was actually Russian for a long time. So maybe I'm not good at
She's
telling
not.
But I mean, I didn't know that Riz Dawn was going to be
Yeah, I
like
feel like
turning into a wrestler. I thought she was just going to be kind of like a manager, mouthpiece for the family and everything
yeah, and
like that.
I feel like she just now came on TV and now she's already like in the battle royale like that.
Yeah, she's shown up for a while, but she's been more dedicated and now being in. I'm excited to see what happens with that.
But that was just a little bit. I always had to talk about the family
Of
whenever
course,
they're
of course.
on.
Shout out to the family.
Next segment was a little
I'm doing the
weird.
finger thing. They can't see us since we're not on camera.
Next segment was a little weird, and I just don't know how to feel about this character as a whole. And that's Joe Gacy on commentary.
Yeah, for the match between Ridge Holland and Gallus. I
Yeah,
can never remember which one's Joe and which one's Mark.
but Joe Gacy was on there, and Booker T and Vic Joseph were talking about how he stank and how his suit smelled like mothballs, and he was saying that was his pocket dog, and apparently he had a hot dog in his pocket, which I can get behind. But
Big shout, big
yeah.
shout.
But just him being out there, Joe Gacy is a wild character to me, and I guess since the other members of Schism have kind of
The Dyad, Grizzled
yeah
Young Veterans.
fizzled out, it's
Well,
just
left the company.
well, and man, GM Ava Rain now.
Of course, GM Ava Rain.
But it's just been I feel like they're just trying to maybe spitball the same way I do.
Yeah, maybe to a degree, but I think that we're seeing where it's going to go, and I'm at least somewhat invested in it.
Yeah,
Just because I think Joe Gacy gets to be a little bit of fun whenever he shows up. But
except
it's a
for when he
fine
jumps off the
line.
roof.
That was less fun. It's a fine line though, because I don't want him getting into that like 2016 Dean Ambrose wacky like he's got a hot dog cart.
That's
Oh
what I hope that he
no.
does.
I don't want 1993 Doink who's squirting a water gun in Jerry
What's
Lawler's
the
face.
difference between that and Kurt Angle coming out with a milk truck?
A lot. So much. Literally so much.
The $1 Million Princess has turned into the Dairy Queen.
Now I did say that tag match might have been the weakest on the card. I'm taking that back because this definitely was.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
actually
save
forgot this match happened. Ridge Holland and the leader of Gallus, whichever one it is, I don't care.
No,
Coffee.
that's not. This is a different match. This is Dijak and Bear Hill.
Oh my god, that's even worse. This is the match with Trey Bearhill.
We do have Gallus and Ridge, but all that I have on that is Protect Your Neck and Ridge won, and then they jumped Ridge after the match.
Look,
really
I do not understand. Ridge actually has injured a number of people. And it's not always his fault. but he is blamed for it. He has talked about getting death threats after not paralyzing, but injuring Big E Langston. If you have a character, a real performer even, that has a history of doing that, stop making that his storyline. Don't
Yeah.
tease it and fake it with Ilya and Ilya selling it, because Ilya's really good at selling and made it look like he couldn't feel his fingers.
Well, then yeah, Nia Jax doing the same thing where she's punching Becky Lynch in the face. And
There is a very big difference between, oh, I actually punched you in the face and I broke his neck.
yeah, that's a good point.
Because Big E actually had his neck broken and
Yeah.
has not come back since.
Yeah. I was watching, just as a little off topic, I was watching a crazy TikTok the other day, and I didn't realize that there was somebody that got paralyzed by D'Lo. Droz?
Draws.
I didn't, yeah, that was terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was back in the 90s.
Yeah, it was like at a house show or something, like a live event.
I think it was a dark match before a show. But regardless.
That's awful, though. It's just goes to show that accidents do happen in this.
That's the thing. It's really dangerous. And that's why I said this on the TikTok. I'm kind of getting uncomfortable with that degree of kayfabe injury.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I'm cool if we wipe
If
that
you
out
want to
of
do it where
wrestling.
it's like, oh, his knees hurt,
Yeah.
or like, oh, he's got a bad back, or like, oh, we need to bring the doctor to help him to the back because he's collapsed. That, but I mean, we've got like people getting stretchered and they're putting the neck braces
I
on.
don't like when they collapse either.
Like, look, I'm sure if people hear this part of the episode, they'll call me a snowflake and all that kind of
Oh yeah,
stuff.
they're gonna be like, "Ooh, you're just so soft," and
I get it, all right. If that's what you like in your wrestling, it's just like blood. I don't need that in my wrestling anymore. I really don't.
Yeah. But
If it
according
happens,
to the great
whatever.
and wise Road Dogg, we don't need blood in wrestling anymore.
I'm right there with them.
I honestly agree as well. It's
I don't need to watch a movie and see someone get murdered for me to think it was a good movie. You know, I can watch a movie that doesn't have a sex scene and still think it was good. And we get people all the time in our comments that will call WWE like Disney wrestling and kid wrestling. If you need cussing and blood to really like wrestling, I don't think you like wrestling. I think you just like the cussing and blood.
I used to think that until I went back and watched like some of the old Attitude Era stuff and the ones that you made me watch. Then I was like, all right, maybe it's a good thing we don't really have this anymore. And honestly, some matches AEW has, it's a little much for me. And I'm like, all right, maybe don't need to watch that.
Sometimes it can be a very effective element of storytelling, and
But
I won't deny that.
Yeah.
But I don't need it every week, and
Yeah.
I don't need it to be a. I think a match can be good without it, and if it happens
Especially
in
with
it
the
and it's an
amount of
important to it, then it can be great.
especially with the amount of real injuries we've seen just over the last few weeks with Giovanni
Giovanni and
Austin
Theory, and to a lesser extent Carmelo Hayes. I mean, I don't need fake injuries to remind me that there are real risks in this pretend sport.
and Wesley even. I forgot about Wesley too. I mean,
Yeah, there's probably even more. I mean, Cora Jade just
yeah.
tore her ACL. She's going to be out for close to a year, they
Yeah.
said. I think a torn ACL is a minimum of 6 months.
Yeah, especially with surgery and rehab and everything.
I mean, I don't need these stacked on over the top fake injuries.
Yeah,
Because there are plenty of ones that actually happen, and I want every wrestler involved that's going out there for my entertainment to be safe.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. And then it's like you don't. And then if somebody actually is hurt, then you just think it's fake gonna work. And
Yeah, we get people all the time. We had people saying that Austin Theory was a work.
Yeah.
He landed on the top of his head.
Yeah.
What is the work? What story is that?
But
Regardless, I'm off my soapbox now. If that makes me a snowflake, I'll take that on the chin.
But now back to the other match. Hey Dijak.
Oh God, I'm back on my soapbox.
Versus
this match
Trey
fucking sucked. I was so mad.
I don't know why you don't like it.
Look, I'm okay. Shoot, it's a fine match. The crowd just wasn't involved in it. It wasn't.
What are you talking about? They were singing "We Will Rock You" whenever they came out.
Yeah, they sang it for like maybe 3 bars, and then the bell rang. Look, the match worked fine. It was exactly what it needed to be, which was
Two
Dijak
meaty men.
beating Bear Hill.
Yeah, it lasted a lot longer than I thought it was going to last, I'll be honest.
But let me say this, I have no emotional investment to Trey Bear Hill. And they are pushing all this with Lexus King and him, and it was involved with the breakout tournament and everything else. I do not know him. I do not care, and so far I am not that impressed. I'm sure he is an effective role player for what he needs to do, but there is nothing that I have seen so far that makes me think this is going to be even a effective enhancement talent.
Yeah, he's just, I feel like he might be kind of hard to be overexposed, but he kind of already is. I feel like maybe just because his gimmick makes him stand out.
That's the thing with someone like Eddie Thorpe having this like Native American that's coming in. It felt relatively fresh because there wasn't really a modern version of that in WWE. And then immediately they brought in Trey Bearhill, and it's like, well, that's the same thing. We had them interacting backstage on this episode, and it's like, are we doing a tag team here? What's going on?
Yeah.
And I don't understand the booking behind that decision of having these two characters existing within the same world. And I think going against someone like Dijak, even though it provides relatively good exposure for him going against someone that is a higher up and more recognized talent on NXT,
Hey,
we
Dijak.
knew he wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
No one thought he was going to win. And even when you have the smoke and mirrors, Lexus King comes out and does an attack after the match.
And
You
Joe
had Joe
Gacy comes
Gacy
in and
doing
attacks
stuff with
Dijak.
Dijak. It was a foregone conclusion.
It kind of seemed like one of those matches that we do on WWE 2K. That
Where it's
for
like, all right, well, I need this match is going to be stale if I do it, but I need to get the feud up, so
and
I'll do a call out
Triple
and then
H
an
is like
interference.
Triple H is like, you need to have an interference this week, and you get a special promotions card, and then
And it's
like,
like,
well,
oh god, so I really need to do the interference
yeah,
spot. That's what it felt like. And I have no doubt that Trey Bearhill could be someone as a performer to really break out and go off, but the character that he currently has and the presentation he is currently being given is not going to be what does it for him.
yeah. Then this week just wasn't the week to.
This week wasn't the week to give them over 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was over 10 minutes, but it
it felt
definitely
like.
felt like it. And you can attest to this. I was absolutely kayfabing it. Anytime Bear Hill got offense, I was like, this sucks. I hate NXT. And then Dijak would reverse it, and I'd be back into it. But the thing is, I'm a big Dijak guy, and I'm not a big Bear Hill guy. And this match was not for me as an audience member.
Yeah, and I guess we see where the feud's going, not between Dijak and Bear Hill, but just I guess interesting choice, and I guess you get two birds with one stone with the two rivalries up in I guess a level kind of.
We'll see what happens before I agree. We'll see.
But we'll go into the next best segment on the show, and if you haven't noticed, my best segments have all been promos.
Best segment, every promo.
Yeah. But this one was Von Wagner and Noam Dar. And
Yeah, honestly,
come Tuesday,
hey, no.
it's today. But Von Wagner talking to Noam Dar, and that Mark that was saying that it's a what was he saying? It was a cup and not a trophy.
Yes, we had someone in our TikTok comments fight with me for over a day about the fact that the Heritage Cup is not a championship in WWE, that it is just a trophy and therefore it is not a championship, even though it is actively defended, recognized as a championship on WWE.com, and referred to as the Heritage Cup champion.
Yeah, and Noam Dar and Von Wagner put that to rest. Thank goodness.
Immediately, he was like, "Oh, is that a cup?" And he's like, "It's a championship." So there you go. I believe that someone in WWE has seen the argument that we had on that Twitter page, or not Twitter, TikTok comments, and said, "Oh, we gotta acknowledge this. We gotta get this one out." So thank you, Shawn Michaels. I'm sure that's you that's listening and watching all our TikToks. Why don't you actually follow us back so I can DM you on my fantasy booking? It's all Dijak winning the world title.
Mine's all Von Wagner. And
I will say this was absolutely up your alleyway. Noam Dar and Von Wagner, and they were talking about math.
Oh.
and he threw well, I don't know how you say, a cup that protects your nuts into the Heritage Cup.
And
That's everything that you could want in a promo happened in this, except there wasn't the Miz in it.
but uh, Von Wagner talking about trying to do all the math for how to pin Noam Dar to win the cup, and saying that he'd have to bring a calculator out to the ring to figure out the best 2 out of 3. It was perfect. It was awesome,
And then
and
immediately after he walked off, Roberts told me, like, "Were you joking?" He's like, "Of course, I got an A in algebra." Like, what? What is happening? Why do I love it?
But then Von Wagner said that 2024 is the year of some gold for Von Wagner, and I'm all there for that. I would love that.
I'll be honest, right now, the Heritage Cup is being treated the way that I was saying that things like the North American
Yeah,
Championship should.
yeah,
It is giving some really good opportunities for exposure to people, and to your credit, Noam Dar keeps retaining it and having very
yeah,
effective runs.
yeah. It does. And he's just a beautiful Noam
And I'll
Dar.
be honest, I'm not like tired of Noam Dar with it at all. I think it'd be
I think they
nice to see
do
a little bit of a
so.
change, but Noam Dar does not feel like
You want him
run
to go
through.
back in his depressive state where they have
Kind of. I thought that was really funny.
You think depression's funny?
When it's Noam Dar, yes.
It was funny, and Noam Dar's doing a great job with that. But Von Wagner's got his belly full of some of Robert Stone's wife's little sausages that he
Little
loves.
sausages in my belly.
So, just awesome segment though.
Yeah, overall, very good. And I wouldn't be surprised if that Heritage Cup match ends up surprising a lot of people.
And then next little note I had was just Lucius King swinging neck breaker.
Yeah. The finisher still doesn't do it for me. It is different enough to be like interesting, but that's about all I can give it, is that it's interesting.
I just thought about that and after the Von Wagner segment, had to put that down in my notes.
Fair.
But this is it's so hard to rank these. They're all sharing
The
the top
best
four,
segment.
yeah. And this is Briggs and JBL. Pump it into my veins. This is freaking awesome,
You know,
and makes it even more awesome that I called it.
I think that they're
And I didn't
trying to
even call it
recreate it.
because JBL picked him. I just picked it because he does a clothesline really good.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that they want some new version of JBL because we saw the experiment with Baron Corbin. It didn't really work.
Yeah, that made me sad. That was an awesome.
And now we're seeing it here with Briggs. And he was asking him, "Who is Josh Briggs? What is your actual personality? Put away the bar and the beer and the playing games. Who are you?" So I think we're going to get some kind of new character showing up
Yeah,
for
since
Briggs
they've
here.
split up and everything, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I'm a little hesitant because I don't want it to just be another the new wrestling god like Baron
That was
Corbin was.
awesome. Everyone else was just idiots.
That was good. You guys are just wrong.
Everyone in the TikTok comments whenever Seth Rollins wins.
This is not awesome. Stop cheering so loud, crowd.
but um, but yeah, I think that this is gonna be cool. I'm always down for anything JBL does. I already was a big fan of Briggs. I do have on here that either JBL is a lot bigger than I thought, or Briggs is smaller than I thought.
It's JBL's bigger than you thought. You wouldn't think it. He's a super heavyweight in pretty much every game he appears in and for WWE.
That's awesome.
He's a big angry cowboy
That's
who made a lot of money.
and throwing clotheslines is just
Yeah, big angry cowboy.
dang right.
That's a key part of being a big angry
Push him
cowboy is a
to the
clothesline.
moon and put it in my veins.
Fair enough.
Then we have Drew Goo and his Dark Gem.
Yeah, not really much to say. The no quarter
I thought
catch.
Charlie Dempsey was in Japan.
He's back.
Okay.
It was just a little like one-off
All
appearance,
the TikTokers were right. WWE's just doing it to get themselves over.
which clearly by them not doing anything else with him is what they've done. But I mean, I think it really benefited Dempsey. I think that we will see further
I don't think
collaboration.
I don't think that's gonna be the end of it at all.
Just wanted to point it out that
Yeah.
he's back. Nothing really crazy. Hopefully the Drew Goo crew can, get some stuff going. Because I don't mind the idea of like a pure technician stable. It's just they need to win.
And they need to have, I don't know, I guess there's not that many people I was thinking about AEW. I'm not a fan of the character being like, I'm really good at wrestling.
But I think it's a little bit different when it's not everyone's character.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that it could be
NXT
different.
has a good blend of like silly characters, serious characters, gimmick-based characters, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then there's also Trey Bearhill. So I think it would be really beneficial for someone in the company to be like, we are pure wrestlers.
Yeah.
And I think they do an effective job, but they just often kind of look like villains of the week.
I don't know what that is.
They show up, they interact with someone, they get a match set for later that night, and then they lose. It's like when you used to watch,
crowd,
you used to watch cartoons for superheroes or get a comic book. A new villain is introduced. What's Batman gonna do? He explains his plot. Batman figures it out.
It's Mystery
Batman beats him.
Incorporated. They solve the
Exactly. They solve the
Gotcha.
mystery. You got 30 minutes with a nice bow on it.
I do love me some Charlie Dempsey though, and I just want Wood and Regal to come on out. And
I think Regal's gonna end up going with Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne on
That'd be
SmackDown
crazy.
instead,
Hmm.
because it seems like they don't want to connect Dempsey and Regal.
Yeah, even though they look like twins.
Yeah, they really do look alike, and I think people know. But I think that they're doing a good job of trying to push Dempsey into forming his own identity.
Yeah.
Even though it is basically the same identity that Regal had.
It will be awesome though when MJF debuts, and then we have
Oh God,
MJF versus Charlie Dempsey for William Regal's
affection. It's gonna be great on NXT Great American Bash, where MJF will probably be. Let's go ahead and jump on to the next segment. Nothing much more to say about that.
We had the Cora Jade is actually, like you said earlier, hurt.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she got hurt at a live show, and they said tore her ACL and is going to be out for almost a year. So
Sending our best to Cora Jade,
Yeah.
man. That really does suck. We're definitely hoping for a speedy recovery.
yeah, just she
I
came
think
back,
it's gonna
and I
be.
thought she was about to get a big push, and it's
I think
unfortunate.
people are gonna really miss her.
Yeah,
She just got back. Looked like they were building up her and Lyra,
Yeah.
and that's kind of been tossed out.
yeah.
Speaking of it being tossed out, let's get into how they've recovered. Because I really think Cora Jade was supposed to win tonight,
Yeah.
and obviously with the injury, she wasn't even in the match. So let's run through the main event. What kind of notes do you got?
I got the women's battle royale. I got
Of course,
Izzy
of course.
Dane, good cake.
Oh God. Look, okay. This happens in our AEW reviews sometimes, and it's happening here in NXT as well. We're just gonna get it out in the open. There's a lot of ass in this match, all right? There's a lot of cheeks, and it feels like the camera intentionally or accidentally gets right up in there. And it's like, I can't. What do you want me to do? This is what's on my full screen right now.
You gotta acknowledge it.
That's it. We acknowledge the cake in this match.
I will, yeah.
But
You
we
can
also
sit
acknowledge
the
they are
cake.
more than it. Do not come in our comments screaming at us. We acknowledge they are attractive, and we acknowledge they are also good at their profession, which is pro wrestling.
I didn't say they suck. But I have that. I have Elektra versus Lola.
Yeah. Elektra Lopez saved Lola Vice from elimination,
They
and then
embraced,
immediately,
they hugged.
yeah, they did give a little hug, and then Lola Vice used that as a distraction to eliminate Elektra Lopez.
And then she did a little shake in the ring.
Yeah, she always does that little hip thrust to the side. I don't know if you call it a shake.
I don't know.
But regardless, she was then immediately eliminated by doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the old thing, like in the Rumble where tag teams are like, you got me, but it came back to bite you, didn't it? No, they immediately started throwing hands. They are done. Lola Vice even tweeted and said she's been dead weight anyways.
Ooh, sheesh.
So it seems like we are finishing that up. Maybe a match between them at Vengeance Day. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that just have a little one-off match to really show their, like WWE 2K.
Yeah, I need to prove a point to my tag team partner, Elektra Lopez.
And I think that
Give me
was
that match this week.
but it did kind of feel quick, but I guess you like looking back at it and explaining it, it makes more sense now. Just that it seemed like it's been building up, and I guess I just haven't really noticed it all that much.
Yeah, I also think this one might be kind of a scramble on their part. I think that they want to quicken Lola versus Lyra
Yeah,
since we don't have Cora to fill up of a
yeah,
feud.
yeah,
Um, what I will say, and I think is interesting, is the possibility now of what's going to happen to Elektra Lopez. Because don't forget, she used to be the manager of Legado del Fantasma, and
oh,
now we've got the LWO feuding against Santos Escobar.
yeah,
Who is she going to pick? Is she going to be involved in it? Are they going to reach out and try and get that? I really think the Legado World Order, which is the healed
yeah.
LWO, could benefit for someone that would be able to come up and face off with Zelina
I was about to
Vega.
say that.
And I think Elektra Lopez versus Zelina Vega, maybe it wouldn't be like a main event of a pay per view or anything like that, but I think they could have some decent matches
Yeah, I do
together.
too,
And
and
I
I
think
think
it
that could
would
be a
give
good.
each of them something to do, elevate this feud by having some intergender aspects to it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I feel like I guess we're getting more, but a lot of times I feel like the women in factions don't really get a lot of match time. And
Yeah,
like I said, I guess we're getting a little bit more like Judgment Day and Rhea, and then
a lot of times the women end up feeling just like a manager
yeah,
more than an active
yeah,
part of the faction.
yeah,
And I think when you've got people as talented as Zelina Vega is, that they need something better.
yeah, and I think
And I
that
think this would be a good way to get her involved.
I do too, and kind of build both of them up some more, because just get them in the ring and let them show what they can do.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Then I have Ariana Grace with just awesome mannerisms and ring work. I think she's definitely her father's daughter.
Oh, 100%. She tried to get two different eliminations and was quickly pushed off, visibly getting frustrated. And then eliminated, oh, it was Carmen Petrovich that eliminated
Yeah.
Lola Vice because Lola Vice pulled her out and knocked her out. And then rolled her back. Oh, no, no, no. That was Blair Davenport. Excuse me. Blair Davenport knocked her out with the Kamagoye and then rolled her back in. And Ariana Grande picks up the knocked out
Grande.
Petrovich. Is that what I said?
How
Oh,
big of a
man.
you know how big that would be if Ariana Grande was on it. I
I
could
think she
see
would have
all the
won the
I
match.
could see all the AEW marks now. Wow, look, they had to bring Ariana Grande.
They had to bring in outside talent just to beat Dynamite.
Even
But
though Jinder Mahal beat them single-handedly.
that's different. No one can compete with him. But regardless, she was able to eliminate Petrovich and immediately celebrated like she had won the whole match. And what I loved, I think it was Roxanne that got the elimination on her. Regardless, no, 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 it was Thea Hale.
Thea Hale, yeah, she
Thea
was,
Hale
yeah.
eliminates her, and Ariana Grande, God, I did it again. Ariana Grace, she does the oh no, like the scream or the Home Alone face as she's getting thrown out. That's awesome, man. I think there's a good chance she ends up being enhancement talent, but she's gonna do a great job of it.
Yeah, she's one of those people that I guess is like more storytelling more so than
Yeah, maybe a little more gimmick than a little more
yeah.
in ring, but you know what? That's
You
what
need
WWE prizes
yeah,
itself on.
you
It's a
need that.
variety show.
And I mean, we're just saying that. I've never actually seen her wrestle that much. She
I mean,
might be
it's not
really
that she's
good.
bad. I'm not
Okay.
saying that at all, but I think she's gonna have almost like what Akira Tozawa has. You know, Akira
Push to
Tozawa.
the moon.
Well, not exactly
He
that.
just beat Ivar.
Well, you're right, and then he got immediately killed. But
By that barefoot stinky foot Sarah Logan.
leave her out of this, bro. But it is they are really good in ring. We acknowledge that they are, but they are even better as this.
Yeah.
I think you could even say Chelsea Green's kind of in that position where
Yeah.
she's good in the ring, she can do good matches, but she's a lot better as a chicken shit heel. And that's what she's going to be. She's a Karen now.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's what happened to Grace. We'll see. But for right now, at least, I'm really enjoying what they're doing with her
Yeah, I
aspects. I
like
think
that.
that's a lot of her understanding her character.
Hmm.
That's an important thing to do if you're going to be one of those more character based wrestlers. You got to
Yeah,
understand what the
and
gimmick
dive into it,
is.
and I think that was like a really solid. It's like probably 45 seconds to a 1 minute thing that we had of her doing that, and it was a good.
Made the most of her minutes.
Yeah, it was a good breakup of everything else. And then I have that I misunderstood the way this match worked. I thought it was going to be a battle royale until we get to the final four, and then we're going to have a fatal four way next week. Because
Oh, no, 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 no,
it
no.
was like 9:59. I'm like, oh, I guess we're ending on time. And then all of a sudden they're like, the fatal four way has started.
You're like,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. And then it just went on from there. Who do we have? Kiana.
It was Kiana, Roxanne, Kalani Jordan, and Fallon Henley in the
Yeah,
Fatal Four Way.
yeah.
What I will say right before we get into that Fatal Four Way, I really thought Lash Legend was going to be in it.
I thought her and Izzy.
At least one of them had a solid chance of
Yeah,
making
because
it, just to
they were
provide
cleaning house.
in the context of a Fatal Four Way that kind of power base that
Yeah,
can do some of the power moves and throw the others around.
yeah.
But obviously we didn't.
And
Big
I
shout out
just
to Lash Legend. She is improving so much every time we see her.
yeah, and it's cool to see somebody of her stature, I guess, with all those other women. And I'll be honest, I didn't know Izzy Dame was that large,
I didn't either. I didn't
it,
realize she was as strong or as tall as she
and I
is.
felt like they kind of focused on them a whole lot of the battle royale. It
I wonder
seemed
if we'll
like
get some kind of
I felt like you were gonna say about Izzy versus Lash Legend.
like some kind of like meeting between them.
Yeah,
And maybe not a match per se, but some kind of like brawl or like maybe NXT will get their own rumble or something. I don't know.
I'm looking forward to is Jade Cargill versus Lash Legend.
I think that'll be down the line just because they are so similar
Yeah,
that they don't want them to look the same.
yeah,
But when it does happen, it looks like it's going to be really good.
yeah. I think it'll be awesome.
Now, in terms of the Fatal Four Way itself, I was almost positive going into this that Kiana was going to win.
I thought so too, especially going against like the winner going against Lyra. You
Yeah, a
would think you
babyface
needed.
champion on a relatively short build, you get that automatic story of good versus bad.
Yeah,
But that's not where we ended up going. I actually made a joke at the start. Oh God, anyone but Roxanne. And little did I know, Roxanne won clean as a whistle.
yeah.
In my opinion, maybe the least impressive of the four women in the match.
You did call it whenever you were like, "Who's that laying there that hadn't done anything the whole match?" And you said, "I hope that's not Roxanne," cause... and then all of a sudden it was, and you're like, "Oh no, she's gonna win."
I was right. I was right. Look, I genuinely don't like hate Roxanne Perez or anything like that, but they have made her feel like she has reached the ceiling in NXT, and it is time for her to move on
Yeah,
from NXT.
I
She
agree with
needs
that
something different.
1,000%. She almost feels like a little bit of a echo what the people are saying about Seth Rollins, the Super Cena. It's like no matter what she's in, she's gonna win. Is what it feels like.
To me, it just feels like, well, she's done all she can, but we aren't going to call her up yet, so what can we do to fill some time with her?
Right.
And it looks like what they're doing to fill some time with her is putting her in a world title feud with Lyra Valkyria. I did see someone make a comment on Twitter that this could be the send off for Roxanne.
Oh,
Let Lyra beat her clean at Vengeance Day. And then she takes a couple months off, and then she comes to the call up after WrestleMania.
yeah, that would be cool. I could
I
see
think
that.
I would be relatively into that. It gives some good
I wouldn't
credential
even mind if she
to.
like is in the Royal Rumble, and then that's kind of like the first taste of her on the main roster, and then she loses, and then that's the send off.
I wouldn't hate that either. Like we see her at the Rumble,
Mm-hmm.
then she's going off, and they can hype up Vengeance Day during her entrance and her
Yeah,
being in the Rumble.
yeah,
I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they do. I think, regardless if that's what they do or not, the time has come for Roxanne to leave NXT.
yeah, and
Whether
it's
that be she
really
takes a break and just isn't on TV for a while, whether that be she turns heel so she gets a fresh coat of paint on her
It's like
or
Braun
a call
Breaker
up.
whenever we thought they were gonna bring him up, and then they just turned him heel.
Oh yeah, I mean, and you got to admit it's worked out wonders for him.
Yeah.
It went from people singing the Braun Breaker sucks to the John Cena
Yeah.
theme, to those people that turned their back on him, as we talked about earlier at Halloween Havoc. All from that to during his match last week against Gallus, he was getting huge pops. People were loving him. Even people on our TikTok were saying how good he is and how awesome it was. What happened? Everyone was sick and tired of him. And then he just started beating up the good guys instead, and everyone loved him again.
And saying how much he hates all you in the crowd.
Regardless, we'll wrap up this episode. It's getting late. NXT
We're getting
delivered
all loopy.
getting all kind of dizzy and everything. NXT delivered. If you want to
Stood
go,
and delivered.
stood and delivered. If you want to go from our last time that we recorded a full review being last Wednesday for Dynamite all the way to now, NXT delivered the most entertaining and the best cohesive episode of weekly episodic wrestling out of any of them.
I think they have done that consistently over the past few months. Like, it's really my favorite show.
It really is. I mean, TNA, of course, maybe a little bit more historic, a little bit more monumental, having their Hard to Kill. That's a pay-per-view. I'm not counting that in. And Dynamite, of course, not a bad show or anything like that, but it just NXT has everything I look for as a fan in spades.
You had a really good saying that everybody that says they want the Attitude Era back and everything like that, like you have it in NXT.
Yes,
With better
minus
wrestling.
the bleeding and cussing.
Yeah.
And that's when I said earlier that if that's all you want, you don't actually want wrestling, you just want that. I mean it, because
Yep.
if you just wanted that same energy of like a good mix of characters, interesting stories, good action, and compelling reasons to believe in each one of the different characters as they flesh them fully out, which is what made the Attitude Era great, and a combination of a rotating cast of stars that is
Yeah.
constantly feeling equal to one another that could win on any given night.
But according
That
to
is
some people, that just
NXT.
means they suck.
That's you.
I'm throwing myself under the bus there, Mark.
All I'm saying, that is exactly what NXT has. NXT is the closest that WWE can get to an Attitude Era
Yeah.
again. And if you don't like it, then you just want the blood and cussing and tits and ass.
Go watch CZW.
Look, if that's what you want, that's fine, dude.
Yeah.
But don't say
Don't get mad at WWE because
it grew out of it. You just gotta accept that it's not for you and move on.
Yeah.
And until we can do that,
start climbing out of the bottom of that bell curve, and
the reverse bell curve is truly a black hole of enjoyment.
I'll throw you a rope down there.
Let's go ahead and wrap up this episode. You got any kind of closing thoughts you want to add in?
No, I think we covered it all probably in this about hour and a half.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah,
almost as long as NXT.
Probably just as long, counting commercials.
Trying to go beat for beat, went just as long as the show. That's what we do here on the Casual Marks podcast.
Tried to make it a 5-minute or 10-minute clip, and here we are.
It's all right. We got multiple 10-minute clips because you better believe I'm splitting this up into multiple parts to put on the channel. But if you're listening to this, then you're checking out the full-length review. And just as a reminder, I'm the Mark.
And I'm the Casual. Thanks for listening.